right. Well, it looks like we have a lot of our participants here. So we want to thank you all for joining us tonight. So just a few things when it comes to our Zoom webinar. I'm sorry that you can't chat with one another, but y'all are welcome to send us any messages in the chat. However, we do have a Q&A box for questions throughout the webinar. We're happy to spend the hour with you as we dive into I'm enrolled, now what? Since all of you have received your enrolled student checklist by now. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with some introductions. My name is Stephanie Molina, and I serve as one of the assistant directors in our office. I work with students in Cab, Cherokee, Douglas, Cobb, and also the Southeast Georgia, as well as students who are undocumented or have DACA. I also go by she, her pronouns.
And hi, everyone. My name is Faith Rashidi-Yazd. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the other assistant director here in our office, and I work with students who live in Gwinnett County here in Georgia, and then North Carolina on up the East Coast all the way up to Maine. I also am an alum of Agnes Scott. I graduated in 2020, so it was a while ago, but at one point I was in all of y'all's shoes working through my enrolled student checklist. And so I have a big memory of getting all these things done and really the excitement that you all have about coming to Agnes Scott in the fall. So Stephanie and I are really excited to spend some time with you all this evening and kind of running through all of the different pieces that are showing up on your enrolled student checklist, how to work through them, how we can support you through them. But we also want to just take some time to celebrate you all and know that we're just so excited that you're coming to campus in the fall and so excited that you're able to work on these things to get you ready to be with us in the fall. So we're looking forward to chatting with you all this evening. I also do want to mention Stephanie and I have quite a bit of information that we're going to work through this evening. And so this webinar was originally scheduled for around 30 minutes, but we anticipate that will probably run a little bit longer than that. We definitely understand that you all might have other obligations and need to pop out around 7:30, and that's totally fine. We are recording it, so we're more than happy to send you it once we are back in the office next week to share all of this information, but just wanted to kind of share that ahead of time. Yeah, with that, let's jump right into it. So you might be thinking, you might have seen your enrolled student checklist and be thinking, where are you going to go to kind of get all of the questions that you have answered this summer? And the first thing that we want to share throughout this webinar is that the Office of Admission is still here to support you. We will continue to work with you all the way through until move-in day. So we can still really serve as the first point of contact if you have any questions. For the most part, we'll probably be able to answer them. And if we are unable to answer them, then we definitely can connect you to the correct office on campus. So things like calling our main line, you definitely can still continue to do, giving us a text or an email. And then you can always sign up for just a check-in with your admission counselor if you have any questions, or if you want to maybe share your screen and see what you're looking at, they can help walk you through this process. As you were thinking about reaching out to other departments on campus who soon you will get to know in person, but right now they're just gonna know you as a name. A really important piece of kind of connecting with these other departments on campus is making sure that you know your student ID and your Scotty Mail login. We'll talk about your Scotty Mail login in just a second, but it's a really great thing to know and just to have on hand. And then the final thing, I mentioned this a little bit before, but here the college is closed on Fridays during the summer. So our hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 5:15 p.m. Monday through Thursday. So if you try to contact us on a Friday, most likely our office will be closed. So that's just kind of something to keep in mind as you're likely working on things over the weekend and stuff like that our college is closed on Friday. So those are good things to keep in mind. I also wanted to mention, as we're kind of getting into things in this webinar, please feel free to, if you have questions, put them in the Q&A box and we can answer them as we go along, or we'll have some time for questions at the end as well. But it all kind of starts with your enrollment letter. So hopefully you have received this in the mail, but you can also access it through your admission portal. So you can kind of see it here down at the bottom in that communications area, your new enrollment letter, which if you have a copy of it, you might want to pull it out. We are really going to go through all of the sections step by step this evening. So if you want to take notes, you definitely can do that. But yes, a hard copy, if you haven't already received it, should be in the mail on the way to you, but you can also check it out here. You also are going to receive a new checklist. And so you might remember working on your admission checklist when you were applying to Agnes Scott. You now have an enrollment checklist. So you can check out that enrollment tab up at the top and you can see the new checklist that will be here. Again, we're going to talk through all of these pieces, but a good thing to know about this enrollment checklist is a lot of these different elements are housed in different departments, but ultimately this checklist is updated by us here at Agnes Scott or in the Office of Admission. And so sometimes there is a little bit of a delay process between those other departments receiving the information and then relaying that information to us here at Agnes Scott in the Office of Admission. So you might fill out your entrance health requirements and check in the next day and they're still not there, it's not checked off your checklist. Just know that we are working on them and likely just waiting for that information to be updated from another office on campus. And so sometimes there can be a little bit of a lag time, but we're working on updating all of the information so that this process can run smoothly for you all. I think it's another great thing to be thinking about, a really important thing to be thinking about is your Scotty Mail login. So one of the most important things that you are gonna be working on this summer is this Scotty Mail login. It's the first step to really all of these pieces. Here at Agnes Scott, we use the Gmail system. So ultimately it will be like a Gmail suite that you'll have access to. You can see here, you'll have your email address, your username, and then an initial password. So you will go through the process of first authentication and second, setting up your password. It's really important that you write down your password, you remember it, you know what it is, so that you can log into this Scotty Mail. But once you set up your email address, this username and password will really be what you use to connect and log into really the rest of the portals that you see throughout this webinar. So it's important that you have that you set up first step, setting up your Scotty Mail, and then that you have that information readily available as you kind of move through this process. If you have any questions about the Scotty Mail login, maybe your initial password isn't working or you're not able to log in, this is a really great connection point with ITS. And so you are more than welcome to email us here at admission and we can connect you with ITS. You also can call ITS directly or send them an email and they'll open a ticket for you. Their office is open on Fridays, so if you have questions over on Fridays, you can still connect with them, which is awesome. But ultimately, ITS will kind of help you through any snafus that you might have related to logging into things in your Scotty Mail. The next important piece is Ask Agnes. So you will get very familiar with Ask Agnes and this portal. Again, we're going to talk about some different pieces that you'll see showing up in this portal. But your username and password for Ask Agnes will be the username that was provided and then your updated, your first password that you set. It houses a lot of Agnes Scott related things. So again, you'll get pretty familiar with kind of what this site looks like and logging into it and all that kind of stuff. So you can go ahead and check it out and see what it looks like now, which is awesome. And yeah, I'm going to hand it over to Stephanie to share a little bit about the next step moving through your process.
Thanks, Faye. Awesome. So yeah, once you get your Scotty mail all set up and your student login ready to go, really the first thing on your to-do list at the very top of your welcome letter, which is really how this presentation is set up, walking through the items in order of your welcome letter, is completing your enrolled student form. Now, your enrolled student form can be a little lengthy, so I recommend that you have a day where you really sit down and complete it with time on your hands. It will ask you a lot of personal information in terms of updating any personal contacts, emergency contacts, but also most importantly, asking you information about your academic interests, classes that you're interested in taking. It'll ask you to look at our course catalog search, which is a new tool that we have this academic year, which is fun. So you can kind of get to explore the different things related, especially like to Summit and stuff like that. So again, taking your time to completing your enrolled student form is going to be pretty important. It is due by June 17th, so it is due in maybe in a few weeks or so, but again, that it is an important form, so make sure you take the time to complete it as thoroughly and as well as possible. So that way, when you get to your academic advisement appointment in July, your advisor has all the information that you want them to know in preparation for your preparing your schedule for the fall semester. In your enrolled student form is also where you will submit a photo ID in order so that our ITS department can take that picture from your photo ID that you upload to create your student ID before you get to campus. And your Agnes Scott student ID will be made available to you during orientation. All right, so that's all about the enrolled student form. Let's go and talk about the entrance health requirements, and I need everyone to buckle in because this can be a little bit of a doozy, and I apologize in advance, but we are here to guide you and help you through this process as best as possible. Faith mentioned earlier that really at this point you are working a lot with the other campus partners beyond Agnes, beyond the admissions office. But again, we're here to help guide you and answer questions as we also communicate with them to help create, your welcome letter and understand how the enrollment next steps are happening this year. So we have a lot of information, but a lot of times the verification is in the hands of other departments, right? So let's pay a little bit close attention here if you haven't been paying attention just yet. So we want to start off by talking about our entrance health requirements with our immunization policy. All of our students are required to have their mandatory immunizations following the American College Health Association guidelines. And there is a website that the Wellness Center has that we have QR coded in the next slide that talks about the immunizations and everything in details. So let's get this party started. So in order to complete your entrance health requirements, which are due July 31st, however, your entrance health requirements are attached to housing and the roommate matching process. So really, it's important for you to get this process started as soon as possible. This is a part where it has a lot of moving pieces, a lot of you managing and working with the American health system. So just making sure that you have enough time to complete everything. So even though the deadline is July 31st, there's a housing deadline that happens a little bit earlier, and that's really what you want to focus on if you're going to be moving into housing. So feel free to scan the QR code that you see on the left-hand side. This will take you to the Wellness Center's immunization requirement page to access the list of immunization information, and it has details for each one. And you will also see the entrance health requirements packet that has forms that you will need throughout this process. These forms include what we're going to talk about next. So in your requirements, you are needing to do a physical exam with a medical doctor, with your physician, or maybe if you need to stop by a CVS Minute Clinic to do that. Those are always good options as well. If you feel comfortable going to like urgent care or the CVS Minute Clinic, if maybe one, you don't have a primary care physician, or maybe you're trying to make an appointment because you haven't had a physical this past academic year, and your doctor just doesn't have appointments during the summer. So those are some good alternative options if, again, you feel comfortable and if your family wants to take you there to get your physical exam. In your entrance health requirements packet, there is a physical exam form that the physician can fill out for you. So please note the date. I just kind of mentioned this, but if you've had a physical exam between August 28th and right now, August 28th of 2023 and right now, you can use that physical exam medical record for this requirement. You don't have to get a new physical exam. But if you have not had a physical exam since this past August 28th, 2023, till now, then you will need a physical exam. Hopefully that makes sense and that is helpful. Next up is immunization requirements. These are all the immunizations that you have gotten throughout your lifetime. That is what we need. Your family and your supporters might be very familiar with this process because you would have needed to show proof, or your family would have needed to show proof of your immunizations if you were going to school, which you all have been. So making sure that y'all are able to find those immunization records on time, and the website that again is linked in this left part of the presentation will have information on all the immunizations that we need. Your entrance health requirement packet does have a form for immunization records that you can use as a guideline if you already have all your records, so that you can just kind of use it as a checklist. However, let's say you maybe lost it, misplaced it, maybe your other family member has it and they live in another state and you want to get your own records again, you can use that form in the packet for a physician to fill out with your medical information if that is helpful to you. I want to highlight here the tuberculosis screening questionnaire, which is also in your packet that is available online. Please be sure to look at the questionnaire. It's a pretty simple answer. It's a kind of yes or no answer in the beginning, but depending on how you answer it will depend on what you do next. So if after you fill out the questionnaire, it's determined that you need a screening, make sure that to communicate that with your doctor if you're going for a physical and things like that, or seeing about how you can get a screening later on as well. So that questionnaire is pretty important. A lot of students kind of forget it or don't realize that it's there. So we just wanted to highlight that because it can be an extra step in this medical process. Last but not least, if you're coming into Agnes Scott under the age of 18, there is a consent form in the requirements packet online that you and your family will need to fill out. So just pay attention to that. All right, so let's talk about how you can submit all of your health documents and all the paperwork that you are getting together. We want to point out that the Wellness Center here in Agnes Scott uses a third-party partner called Med Plus Proctor. So you will be able to use your Agnes Scott login to create your account for Med Plus Proctor, and that is how they will verify your information and let our Wellness Center know. So it does take a little bit of time, so just be patient. That's why it's important for you to start this process early. And if you need assistance on anything that Med Proctor is telling you, they do have a support service as well within the website or the app. So again, you can use your Agnes Scott login, just like Faith said earlier before, that's going to be, your key card for everything when it comes to all these different portals that you have to use. So once you log into Med Plus Proctor, this is kind of the dashboard that you will see here. So I really just want to take the time here to highlight this little green button that you see on the screen that says Expedite Review for $13. Again, we are using a third party in order for the Wellness Center to verify your health records. So this is not required by Agnes Scott College for you to do this expedited review process. You do not have to pay $13 if you do not feel like it. This is just an option that Med Plus Proctor has available if you want to use it, but again, it is not required. If you are diligent and proactive with your entrance health requirements, we believe that you will not need to pay this $13. But again, as a reminder, as it says here in our admissions tip, plan ahead and allow at least 3 to 5 business days for the Wellness Center to get your information verified from Med Proctor, and then for us in turn in admissions to verify that you got it from the Wellness Center and check it off of your admissions portal checklist. Okay. So early bird gets the worm here, kind of, in a way. And remember that With this part of that, your entrance health requirements, so filling out basically all of your health record pieces, that is going to be an important piece for you to move forward with your roommate matching system that Faith is going to talk about a little bit later. So those two things are connected, and you need to complete this part in order to move on with that housing piece. Again, that we will talk about a little bit more in just a second. All right, so the last piece here of your entrance health requirements is kind of related to your health insurance. So you may have remembered from your financial aid award letter or any financial aid information that we sent, that there is a health insurance requirement for all of our students. So if your health insurance is not comparable to Agnes Scott's college health insurance, then you'll be required to get our health insurance. You can see here the options that are offered to our students. The way that you get to this health insurance website so you can find more information and also review the options that you see here, just go to the QR code that you see at the bottom there with the little T-Rex, and that will take you to the health insurance website. So there is a waiver process that happens, and this waiver process is also due July 31st. However, this portal is not ready just yet. So this waiver portal does not open until mid-June, but it's important that we talk about it now so you don't forget and you understand the importance of it. So you won't be able to complete it just yet, but when you do, you can log in to verify your health insurance. We recommend that you do this with a parent or a supporter that knows your information, so that way your supporters can help you answer the questions to verify your health insurance. If it is approved, then your health insurance is waived and you do not have to get billed the health insurance information or the health insurance plan. However, if it is not approved and it's determined that you do have to get our health insurance, students are automatically enrolled after the deadline, and that $2,800 is added to your bill. And again, the $2,800 is for the academic year. So half of that is billed in the fall, half of that is billed in the spring. Did I miss anything about this, Faith? All right, cool. That's a lot. If you have questions about any piece of the entrance health requirements or the insurance waiver portion, please be sure to add those questions to the Q&A. If later on you are like, okay, thank you for telling me this, later on in June, I'm going to come back to the video and watch it. That's cool too. And feel free to reach out to us if you have those questions. So now let's move on from this. The next piece of your to do is happening a little bit earlier than your entrance health requirements. But again, even though that's due in late July, make sure that you're working on it now. For the orientation fee, which is due June 15th, there is a form for you to fill out. There is a clickable link in your admissions portal for you to be able to pay this. It's $250 for domestic students and $500 for international students. Now there is going to be, you may have been asked about parent, how many guests you're going to be bringing. We just want to let you know that there will be more information on the parent and supporter registration. So there's going to be an additional piece for them to fill out as well. And that should be coming fairly soon. An announcement should be made or information should be made available to them in their Scotty Family Portal, which is a new parent portal that we have. So just wanted to make y'all aware that yes, this is the way that you pay for the orientation and how you as a student is registered for orientation, but there might be an additional step for parents later on that will be made available hopefully very, very soon. When you do fill out your new orientation form that you see here, make sure that you have your Agnes Scott ID ready to make the payment. If you have not memorized your Agnes Scott ID yet, your student ID, I recommend that you do that. But the easiest way to find it is in your in your financial aid award letter at the very top right-hand corner. That's the easiest way to find it, in my opinion. So your ID is made available in a lot of the letters that we have sent you. All right, now we're going to talk a little bit about the housing application before Faith jumps into the roommate matching piece. So there is our new student housing application. If you are going to be moving in on campus, is due June 15th. All students who plan to do it, please make sure you fill out this application and housing contract. You will click your term once you log into that portal and fill out the information on there. So as a reminder, all first-year students live in one of two of the same dorm, but they have different names, and students are very gung-ho about one or the other, even though they're double standard rooms on campus. So you'll be selecting your housing and building room preference. Although it isn't guaranteed, they try to, support where you do want to be placed, whether in Winship or Walters, and kind of go from there. And next up, I'll pass it over to Faye to talk about roommate matching.
I get to talk about the exciting part, which is your roommate matching process. So the housing portal will open in mid-June. As Stephanie has mentioned a few times, while the deadline for your entrance health requirements isn't till the end of July, the housing portal, to gain access to the housing portal, you do need to have completed your entrance health requirements. So I would say be shooting for mid-June to start wrapping up things on your entrance health requirements so that you can have access to the housing portal. I'm sure we have a few questions. I've been trying to answer the questions in the Q&A, but we had a question. Some of you might already have your roommate, and if you don't, we're not expecting you to already have a roommate. That's totally fine too. Part of this process is to really find your perfect match. The housing portal will ask you all sorts of questions like, what living style suits you best? Are you a messy or a clean person? It's really important to be honest in this process so that you can find someone that you will be a compatible roommate with. But yeah, this is the process to find a really good match for you. You'll be able to set up an account and start connecting with other students, other potential roommates, and then the official matching process will happen in July. The same important things that we're really emphasizing is once you set up your Scotty mail, you might be used to checking your high school email or checking your personal email, but once you have your Scotty mail, it'll be important to kind of start checking that throughout the summer because your access to the housing portal will be emailed to your Scotty mail account, so you can check it out there. So it's important to be checking that email throughout the summer. At some point, us on the admission team will start to copy both your personal email and your Agnes Scott email, so you can kind of get in the routine of seeing those emails in both places. So yeah, all of this is coming up. It's a really exciting process. It's a really fun thing to start to think about actually living on campus and who you might be rooming with and all that kind of stuff. So you want to make sure that you're able to kind of go through this housing roommate matching process as early as you can. So start working on your entrance health requirements as soon as possible. And another piece of housing and thinking about moving into campus ultimately is thinking about the commuter student process and the commuter student application. Here at Agnes Scott, as I'm sure many of you know, we are a majority residential campus. So most of our students are living on campus for all 4 years, but we do have a small population of commuter students. These are usually students who are living with family or supporters within usually about a 30-mile radius of campus. And so in order to be able to live off campus, you do have to submit the commuter student application. There are a few different pieces to this application. The first one is kind of like a form that you will fill out, share some information about the living situation that you are planning to be in and why ultimately you would like to be a commuter student. And then the second piece is a form that needs to be notarized. And so this will be something that you will submit as a part of that form as well. The really kind of key and important crucial thing here is that the commuter student application is due June 7th. So this is really the earliest date that's going to come up pretty soon. And again, it does need to be notarized. You can go all sorts of places for a notary, most banks, and then things like UPS stores, FedEx, all that kind of stuff usually have a notary, but this is something that's going to come up pretty quickly. And then they will be able to review those applications and let you know, hopefully pretty early on in the summer, if you've been approved to be a commuter student. So this is something to have on your mind. The kind of final thing to be thinking about when you're thinking about housing accommodations or housing in general is housing accommodations. So there is the housing accommodation application, which I always like to kind of think of as like an intake form where you can really share some information with our Office of Accessible Education about the resources and accommodations that might be helpful for you in your living situation. This is recommended that you fill it out by July 1st so that they can have time to really kind of make all of those accommodations happen if they're able, and be in communication with you and both the Office of Res Life. And when thinking about the Office of Accessible Education and just accommodations that you might need more generally, if you are thinking that it would be really nice to be connected to their office before you come on campus, or there are some really key things that you're thinking about in your transition to college that you want to go ahead and get the ball rolling, we would really love to connect you with the Office of Accessible Education to support you in that transition. So please reach out to your admission counselor and we can definitely help you make that connection as well. Another thing that I personally am excited about, because I love spending time in the classroom. You all might be getting excited about it, thinking about what classes you're going to take in your first year, the process of selecting those classes, all those sorts of things. But a piece of this is placement tests. I want to say before I get into some of the ins and outs of the placement tests that you might hear the word test, feel stressed. Some of you might have just finished finals, finished your AP test, all that kind of stuff. Thankfully, these are not pass-fail tests. They are really just conversation starters that you and your summit advisor can use as kind of like a jumping off place to start the conversation when you have a meeting with your summit advisor, which we'll get to in a little bit. But don't be stressed about these tests. They're really more to like gauge where what classes you might want to take in your first year here at Agnes Scott. As you're looking at your enrolled student letter, the one that's in your admission portal, you'll see there's quite a bit of information for the placement tests because there are some really important, some crucial steps, instructions that you need to follow in order to be able to actually take these placement tests. So you'll go to Canva, which I saw a question about where you'll be able to like access your grades and all that kind of stuff once you're an Agnes Scott student. It will be Canvas, not Canva. We always get those two things confused in our office, Canvas. That's where like all your access to homework and all that kind of stuff will be once you're here on campus. But you'll go to Canvas and you will see, it'll bring you to, you can see the screenshot here of the academic advising page. You'll scroll down a little bit, you'll be able to see all of the placement tests. It'll look like you can click on them and take them, but you can't yet. You need to go back up to the right-hand corner up on the top where you can see that menu. And you'll need to click join this course in order to start taking those placement tests. So it's really important that you kind of read through all of those instructions to click that button and then enroll in the course to be able to move through those different placement tests. The placement tests are due June 17th to give you enough time to take them and then have that information by the time you talk to your summit advisor in your virtual meeting. The one that is required for all Agnes Scott students is the mathematics skills quiz. And you might be thinking to yourself, I'm planning to be an English creative writing major. I never want to take a math class during my time at Agnes Scott. That's totally fine. You still need to take the mathematics skills quiz. It's just a part of taking those placement tests. The next ones are the non-English language. placement tests, and you have a few different options. Some of you might be coming in wanting to continue in the same non-English language that you were taking when you were in high school. That's awesome. Still take the placement test to see if you can place out in some of the courses that we offer here at Agnes Scott. You might be wanting to start a new language, and that is totally fine. You definitely can do that. We still recommend that you take this placement test. So if you change your mind and you want to pick back up your other language, you have already taken that placement test. So again, if you're able to place out of some of the courses, you still can do that. The next few are the calculus readiness surveys. These are best if you are really interested in taking some significant math here at Agnes Scott to see what calculus class you should be placed in. The music theory placement test is actually something that will happen once you get on campus, but a good thing to have on your radar. And then the dance technique, you'll share some specific information that you'll see in your enrolled student form, but also kind of thinking about if you're interested in taking dance classes, you'll share some information about what your dance activity has looked like before coming to Agnes Scott. So that's kind of the ins and the outs of placement tests. Another thing that I would devote maybe a little bit of time to an afternoon to put a movie on and just kind of get it out. I think it's really great to maybe separate these different pieces out and not try to do them all in one sitting. You definitely can. If that's how you like to roll, you can definitely knock them all out all at once. But I always like to recommend that students have a little reward system. Get a few things done, come back in a little bit, revisit things. It's a lot to kind of work through all at once. So that's always my recommendation as you're working through all of these different pieces. Stephanie's going to share a little bit about, you're probably thinking about some of the credits that you took, but a little bit about how to get those to us here at Agnes Scott.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about your final high school transcript and any pre-college credits that you may have taken, such as AP, IB, or dual enrollment courses. We're going to start off by talking about your final high school transcript. This was probably the very first item after you enrolled that populated in your checklist. If you are currently still in school, your final high school transcript is not ready yet. I recommend that you speak with your counseling office, the counseling office at your school, if you have not done so already, to let them know that where you will be attending college so they can send us your final high school transcript when it is ready. If you have already graduated, hopefully you did that before you left school. If you have not yet, and maybe your school is already closed for the year, administrators are gone, you could check the county that you went to school in, or check your high school website and see if there's a link to request your official transcripts from the county that you attended school in, or the city system like Marietta City Schools or APS, for example, to get us your final high school transcript. We will need that final high school transcript before you come to campus for move-in day. The next thing that we'll talk about is your AP and IB courses. We've gotten a lot of questions about this, especially recently. Now, there are a couple of charts on our website. If you just Google search AP exams Agnes Scott College and go to our agnescott.edu website, you can find those charts for under academic advisement to see which exams we accept, your scores for, and what scores you need in order to get college credits. We will need the official scores sent directly to us by College Board or the IB system in order to give you those credits in time for your advisement appointment in July. Similarly, we will need your official college transcripts for any dual enrollment credits that you took. Your official college transcript can be sent to us electronically. If there is no electronic option, they can paper mail it to us to our regular admissions address that you can find online. And also, Oh, yes. So if you're not too sure how to find your dual enrollment transfer or your dual enrollment transcript, is usually at the registrar's website. There's usually a link under the registrar for the college you attended for dual enrollment, and you can request your official transcript to be sent to us under the information provided in the registrar's office for that school. All right. Now, once we do get your, for example, once we do get your official transcript, during this time, our registrar's office will be working on transferring, doing our credit evaluation basically for you. And then your advisor should have that information by the time you get to your advisement appointment in July. So now that we've talked a lot about your enrolled student checklist, the other pieces that are on there relate to financial aid and billing. So we're gonna dive in a little bit into this portion now that we've gotten to this point of our presentation. But again, if you have questions, definitely drop it in the Q&A chat. Our regular chat should also be open now. So if you wanna, talk to one another in there, you should be able to do so now. So let's go ahead and talk about the first portal that you probably had access to once you were admitted to Agnes Scott. And as we started releasing financial aid information and financial aid offer letters, you would have gotten your information to log into your financial aid portal. This portal is through your Ask Agnes. So that is, again, one of the first things that you were able to access as an admitted student here at Agnes Scott. It will give you all of your checklist items from the Office of Financial Aid to move forward with accepting your financial aid packages that and your scholarships here for Agnes Scott, submitting your proof of Georgia residency, which is required for all Georgia residents, no matter who you are. And if you are a resident of Georgia, you must submit the residency form. It is standard across all universities in Georgia. It is just the beauty of living in this state. It can look very scary because you're like, okay, I filled out my FAFSA. What do you mean I need to confirm my residency? It's just a thing that you have to do. So if you receive this form in your financial aid letter, once you got it in the mail, if you see it on your checklist here, it is a clickable link where you can find the form online as well. You just need to fill that out and submit one of the items that's listed on there as proof of residency. This is also where you can, if you were selected for FAFSA verification, which means that you might need to submit additional documents or fill out forms to verify your FAFSA. That is also on there. And last but not least, completing any loan documents. If you're going to be accepting your loans, this is also where you can decline your loans if you're choosing not to take them out for your payments. Reaching out to your admission counselor or the Office of Financial Aid if you run into any questions is your best bet. We do work very closely with the Office of Financial Aid as they are in this building that Faith and I are in right now. So we can guide you a little bit smoothly in this area as well. But we will also refer you to one of our colleagues in financial aid if it's something that we cannot answer. So let's talk a little bit more about this loan process. So you kind of see a few things on here. The last three items talk about completing an entrance counseling, a master promissory note. What even is that? Who knows? And then signing your financial aid offer letter. So this beautiful thing that you all know as the FAFSA requires you to do a couple of things when you are going to be accepting your loan. So the first step is going into your FAFSA, your financial aid portal in Ask Agnes, and saying, yes, I want to accept my loans. The second part is for you to do the bits in your FAFSA account. So your studentaid.gov account, you need to go back in there and complete your entrance health. Nope, that is the wrong words. Your entrance counseling for your loans, and also sign a master promissory note. This is an official loan, so you have to sign the agreements and the terms and conditions for the loan, aka your master promissory note. The entrance counseling will explain really what the master promissory note is. It's a cute little like module tutorial thing with videos and stuff like that. It maybe takes 30 minutes. So this part shouldn't take too long, and then making sure that you're reading and signing the promissory note as needed. These loans are under your name as a student, therefore you are the one who has to complete it. And the link to both of these items are in your Ask Agnes portal, so make sure to click on that. All right, now Faith will talk about student accounts.
Yes, so Stephanie mentioned and covered some information about loans, financial aid, all those sorts of things. You might be thinking about bills and how that's going to look like this summer. So our Office of Accounting will send out access to your fall semester bill and kind of the provider that you can then log into and see your fall semester bill. It's called Nelnet. One of the great things about this site is that students, you will be able to obviously log in, but also parents and supporters, you will be able to make your own access to this site. So you can also log in and check out the bill as well. Bills will be available to view in early July, so you can kind of keep that date, that time frame in your mind. And then once they are available, you can either pay your tuition bill in full or go ahead and create a payment plan. Which, speaking of the payment plan, I'm sure a lot of you are kind of familiar with the payment plan and how it works because we have been in communication or in your financial aid conversations, we chatted about the payment plan and kind of what those options look like. But the payment plan itself has a few different options that you can kind of run through. You can either set up the 4-month or the 5-month payment plan. And there are some dates that you can sign up by for those payment plans. For the 4-month payment plan, your enrollment period is June 28th until August 11th. And then for the 5-month payment plan, your enrollment dates are June 28th until July 13th. There is a little bit of a caveat with that 4-month payment plan, that August 11th date. Your fall semester bill is due on August 1st. And so really you have up until that date to, again, either pay your fall semester bill in full or enroll in a payment plan. Through Nelnet, the site, you can technically enroll in the 4-month payment plan all the way until August 11th. But if you wait until that August 11th date to enroll in the payment plan, you will accrue a late fee from us here at Agnes Scott. So that's something that's important to keep in mind. Again, essentially, you're just taking your semester bill and breaking it up across 4 or 5 months payment options. And if you have any questions about kind of what the payment plan looks like or how to enroll or anything like that, there's actually a helpful video on Nelnet itself where they kind of walk you through how you'll be able to do that and all that kind of stuff. An important thing to remember is that there is a $50 enrollment fee each time that you enroll in the payment plan. So there'll be a $50 enrollment fee for the fall. And then when you enroll again for the spring, there'll be that $50 fee then as well. So that's a little bit about the payment plan. I think if you have questions about like the ins and outs of how this is going to work, this is a really great piece to connect with your admission counselor about. And we're nearing the end of our information that we have to share. Going to talk a little bit about dates to remember.
Yes, before we move forward, there is something in the chat that I kind of just want to go back to this part here. Okay, so unfortunately we can't show you the Canvas so you can see the join class button because we don't have access to it because we're not enrolled students. But there should be a menu on the right hand side, like a drop down sort of thing where you should be able to see it. And hopefully that works. You can also send the screenshots to your admissions counselor, and they will be able to help you out as best as possible once they kind of see what you're seeing as well. So We do have appointments still available. Just how y'all may have made appointments with us for your admissions interview or your financial aid conversations. Those are still up and ready to go if you want to make a check-in appointment with us. And then you can share your screen and we can walk you through that as well. So feel free to do that. But like Faith said, we're nearing the end here. So let's dive into some dates to remember, which are so many, but we're here to guide you through that. I know you have a lot of different June and July dates on your to-do list, but these are dates to, as you look into the future, your virtual summit advising appointments will happen between July 15th and August 16th. And remember, now that you are an enrolled student, it's important to check your Agnes Scott email, your Scott email, in order to see official communication from all the other departments on campus, especially your summit advisors, as they will be communicating with you, introducing themselves to you, and also sending you an email with the link to make an appointment for your advisement appointment. So make sure you're paying attention to that, especially as we are closer to July, because July is advisement, July is also payment deadlines and stuff like that. Your tuition is due August 1st. So again, as we get closer to July, we'll send out more reminders, and then it is due August 1st, which means that you have to set up a payment plan also by August 1st if you're planning to pay your tuition through your cost of attendance, really through the payment plan option, okay? A couple of move-in dates. So we do have special move-in dates for some special populations in our student body, such as our varsity athletes. If you are a student athlete, we're so happy you're part of the Scouty family. Your student move-in date is August 13th. If you are joining us as an international student, you get to campus a little bit earlier as well, and your move-in date is August 19th. You also have your own orientation before joining Legacy Orientation with the rest of our students. And if you are a first-year student, if you're not an athlete, if you're not an international student, your move-in day, and if you're a first-year or a transfer student, your move-in day is August 23rd, followed by your Legacy Orientation. So there will be a schedule piece for our first-year students and a schedule piece and a start time for our transfer students. If you are a transfer student who is not moving in, you will still come on August 23rd, usually in the afternoon, to start the transfer part of your orientation schedule. The fun part of one of the many traditions that we have on campus is for our new students to sign the honor pledge. So it's a great, beautiful ceremony where we really talk about what the honor pledge means, and you all get to sign these really big pieces of paper. I always reminds me of that picture of like the founding fathers signing the Constitution. And because it's like they're like looming over the piece of paper and you get to sign it. There's multiple of them and they get hung in Buttrick Hall. So you get to see it throughout all 4 years, your pledge that you signed as a student here at Agnes Scott College. So that beautiful day happens August 26th. And then the first day of class is August 28th. So you get a little bit of rest between orientation, a little bit of our traditions, and then the first day of class when you come to Agnes Scott. All this information is always available online. You can definitely find it at agnescott.edu/enroll students as well. But we're here to answer your questions. Somehow we took up the whole time. So there's a lot of info. But we just kind of want to pause here and see what questions you'll have.
I know that we have a question that I think I started to answer and never quite finished the thought of if you have already found your roommate. This actually, we recommend that you still, both of you all still get access to the housing portal and fill it out to see if you all will be compatible roommates. It's great to know some of those like nitty-gritty things of living together that the housing portal will kind of pull up. But ultimately, you will be able to either kind of choose each other and connect through the housing portal, or you can email our Office of Res Life and let them know. I would recommend emailing them around the time that the housing portal opens up. so that they can kind of have all of that information around the same time. So around mid-June, you can send them an email and let them know that you've already selected your roommate. And then I'll also give it a little bit of time for other questions to pop up, but I know we had some questions that you all submitted before the webinar, so I wanted to make sure we kind of got through those as well. One of them is there any summer homework? Do we have anything to do before we get to campus? Any summer reading, things like that? The answer is no specific summer homework. I think this enrolled student checklist is your summer homework to be working on. There are quite a few things, but there's no like summer reading or stuff like that that you need to be doing before you start classes. So be working on your enrolled student checklist is the major thing that you have to keep an eye on this summer.
Yes.
What else? A question about outside scholarships. If you've received any outside scholarships, how to get them to us here at Agnes Scott. You actually can either email them or mail them directly to financial aid. They do usually need to have official documentation from the scholarship. So just letting the scholarship know that they can be in contact with our Office of Financial Aid to kind of move through that process.
There's a question on here about loans. So we definitely recommend that you reach out to the Office of Financial Aid and meet with one of our great colleagues, whether that's Daryl, Nidhi, or even the director herself, Amanda, and they can help guide you through some loan options if you are interested in figuring out what that looks like for you. You and your parents, and one of them can also talk about the Parent Plus loan if you have questions about that as well. So financial aid would be a great resource for you there. They can talk to you about any federal loan options, but also, on top of the Parent Plus loan, but also maybe any private loans that they might recommend that are a little bit more on the safer side than maybe going to like your bank or something like that. There's a question on here on the Q&A. Is August 13th move-in day for all athletes or just fall athletes? To my understanding, it's all athletes.
Yes, and then there's another question here going back to loans about the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized loans. This person is asking specifically about those federal loan amounts. Some students are offered both subsidized and unsubsidized. The difference between the two is subsidized would not be accruing interest while you are a college student, while the unsubsidized would be accruing interest while you are a college student. This is, if you have more questions about that and kind of what that looks like, that's a great place to either connect with financial aid or your admission counselor as well.
Yeah. There's a great question here about work study. So if on your financial aid award letter, you were offered work study funds, which you would see at the very bottom on the left column, under the self-help little box, you will see if you were given federal work study funds. If you were, you don't have to do anything right now. Just during orientation, they will give you information about, excuse me, about Handshake, which is an app and service that we use for all campus jobs, and where you can, upload your resume and apply for jobs on campus. If you are not giving a work study position, please talk to your admission counselor about that. And there is a wait list that we can put you on. Financial aid has access to this wait list. And as we kind of go through the summer, if positions open up, or spots, I should say, open up for work study availability, you might be able to get one of those spots. Right. There's another question here about loans. What is the interest rate for sub and unsub loan? That's a great question. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's 5%.
5.5%.
5.5. And it is heavily regulated. Like when I graduated college in 2015, it was like 4.8. So it goes up very, very little, if that, every year. Or it takes a long time for them to even increase the interest rate. So it should really remain the same during your time here at Agnes. Yeah, work study, there's a question here on how work study is determined. Work study is based off of need and pretty much your FAFSA. However, we have more students eligible on campus for work study than we have work study positions for. So it kind of does work as a first come, first served basis when it comes to like completing FAFSA or how quickly we got your FAFSA information. On a regular year, that would make sense. This year, everything was chaotic with FAFSA. So, I think it still kind of worked first come, first serve, depending on how fast we got your information from the government, but that's typically how it works.
Yeah, we have had a few questions about recording, how to get access to the recording of this information, all that kind of stuff. As we have mentioned before, our office is closed tomorrow. So today is Stephanie and I's Friday. But we will be back in the office on Monday, and we will be sure to send out an email to all of y'all who attended with the recording of this information so that you can go back and look over it. And then we're also hoping to get it uploaded to our YouTube and website, so you can also refer to it there. So it will be readily accessible to all of you all. And you
Yeah,
can come back and revisit it as many times as you would like to.
please do. And again, we're here to always help you. I mentioned earlier how you can make an appointment with us, just like you have been doing throughout the year for interviews and financial aid conversations. And while admissions may not always have the answer, we're here to connect you with our campus partners. These are all the individuals you are working with bit by bit throughout this enrollment checklist process as you complete these items and as you get ready for bills in July. So feel free to take a picture, get a screenshot for right now. Remember, we will upload this video as well, so you will get to see it again. But if for whatever reason you contact these offices and maybe they're not answering, again, give them a little grace, give them about 3 to 4, 5 business days. Let us know. You can copy us in those emails so that way your admissions counselor is in the know and we can try to advocate for you as well. But we work together with these offices, and here's their contact information and what specifically they work with during this enrollment time for you and moving forward as a current student as well. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. We're glad that this was helpful. Hopefully we answer a lot of your questions, ease some of your nerves. Be diligent, be proactive, take it one moment at a time, and you will get through it. Faith did it, so we know you can do it. And hundreds of Scotties before you have done this craziness, and we got y'all. So thank y'all so much for joining us.
Bye, everyone.